Hello, welcome back to the Lisa Wessan Show. I am Lisa Wessan and I am based in Westford, Massachusetts and also in Chelmsford. And I'm grateful to be here today to speak to you about the amazing peace and advantages of working with paradoxes, being able to live with paradoxes comfortably. That's our topic for today. And dialectics has a lot to do with paradoxes. So before I begin, I actually want to do some thank yous. First, I want to thank Dr. Marsha Linehan. Pete, can we see slide number 2? Yes. So part of what I'm sharing today comes from this wonderful manual that I use in my course. I teach a course in Westford on DBT skills for women on Wednesday nights, and it comes out of this book. So some of the things I'm sharing today are coming out of this book. I want to thank Dr. Marsha Linehan up front. And we can also see slide number 3 while we're here. That's myself with Marsha Linehan last summer in my training with her. I did a week-long study plus other studies with her for DBT, and there she is last summer. So I'm really grateful. Dr. Linehan, if you're watching this, thank you for putting this all together and helping us convey this to our clients and to the public at large. In fact, it's my hope and prayer that DBT will be offered maybe in the 3rd grade, somewhere in between elementary school. Dialectical behavior therapy, I spoke about it in a previous episode, but I guess I'll review some principles before I go forward. Dialectical behavior therapy has 4 components, and actually could we see the slide number 4, please? Thanks. A lot of slides up front here. Slide number 4 has the brain on it. Yeah. So distress tolerance, mindfulness, emotional regulation, and interpersonal effectiveness are 4 modules in this curriculum. And tonight we're going to be looking at distress tolerance and mindfulness, because being able to sit with paradoxes is part of that work. Thank you for that slide. So basically, the 4 modules have many, many topics and homeworks and readings to do and exercises to practice. And today, what I'm hoping to help you understand is what is a paradox. So basically, I've been struggling with paradoxes since I'm a kid. I mean, the first one was more philosophical and theological. I used to question when I was growing up, why do bad things happen to good people? I don't understand this. There was a lot of horrible things happening to people who I thought were very kind and wonderful. My grandmother, may she rest in peace, she died of Lou Gehrig's disease, which was a vicious, slow 2-year process. It almost destroyed my mom. My mom was like really losing it, going to visiting her and taking care of her every day. Couldn't grasp it. How come there's so much pain and suffering, disease, poverty, illness, in a world created by a just God, as it were? Just didn't quite sit right with me. And I was arguing and debating with God since I'm a little girl. It started very, very young. And fast forward, what I came to understand through where dialectics is the study of, actually, let me back up. Dialectic means being able to hold opposing beliefs in your mind, opposites, paradoxes, singularities, conflicting belief systems, to hold them both and not have a meltdown and not get depressed and angry and frustrated. So that sounds too good to be true, right? So for instance, today, fast forward from my childhood of shaking my fist at God and saying, what's going on here? This is so crazy, How could you, questioning everything. Now I've come to believe that both things happening are true. For example, there is chaos and entropy, and the universe is kind of breaking down and disintegrating on many, many levels. You can look into the stars and into astronomy and see like binary stars crashing into each other, black holes, things happening on a galactic level, universe level. And then there's also things happening in our lives, like parents beating their kids. On the I call it the micro levels, what's happening in your immediate family, with your children, your husband, your boyfriend. The micro level is like our individual relationships. But there is chaos and entropy and breakdown at all levels of the universe. At the same time, there's also beauty and love and creativity and art and culture and dance and music, so many wonderful things simultaneously in this existing side by side with the chaos. So it turns out, if we were living in like joy, joy, joy all the time, it would be emotionally flat. We would not even appreciate it. In order for us to really appreciate the contrast, we have to have some darkness. So on a very mundane level, black and white, lightness and darkness, whatever, but also to have depression, sadness, grief, it's necessary. Poverty, disease is necessary so that when things are going well, we can appreciate it and be in the joy of it. Does that make sense? So understanding and embracing contrast was a big concept for me. And honestly, I didn't get that quite directly just from DBT. I was studying with other places to understand paradoxes better. But dialectical behavior therapy really drills down into this. For example, I love to tell my clients and remind myself that, like, for instance, who you are is perfect as is. On some level, you are good enough, you're smart enough, you're good enough as is, really perfect on the one hand. And on another hand, you could improve. You could improve, absolutely. Now, they're both equally true. They're both equally true. You are perfect, healthy. Some people, I would agree, saying you're a healthy, whole, holy child of God and all is well, so to speak. And on the other hand, you could improve. There's way better things you could be doing and being in your life. So these are two examples of paradox. That's paradox that I like to talk about on a very basic level. And I know for myself, it takes me off the hook. Like, for instance, on a very simple thing, like let's say go into the gym. Let's say I had an intention of doing a body pump class and also doing a 4-mile hike before that. And sometimes I do get up early enough to do the hike and then go to the 9:30 class in the morning. And sometimes I'm up working late and I just cannot get up early, and I'm grateful if I get to the body pump class. That's good enough. So that day that I didn't do much cardio, but I did a good body pump class, that is good enough for that day. This body, it's temporary, plus size, I'm doing the best I can, and it's good enough that I did the body pump on Wednesday, and I didn't do, another day I can do hiking and maybe some other upper body workout. So telling myself that it's good enough as is very relaxing. If I beat myself up and I said, oh, I shouldn't have stayed up so late, I should have gotten up really early in the morning, what's wrong with me? Nay, that is not good mental health. And that makes you feel bad. It's like you spiral downward into a dark, miserable place thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? Why did I do that? And it's important to be able to say, I'm embracing these opposites. I did good enough. Now, some of the opposites that are important to balance are having to do with like privacy and being outspoken. Being able to balance generosity and saving money. Being able to balance all these things. There are paradoxes in so many areas of our life. The most obvious ones are, sickness and health. Being able to appreciate what we have as healthy as we are today, and then strive to do better. Let's take a look at slide number 6. Important opposites to balance. Can we see slide number 6, please? So I already said that one on top, that you're good enough as is and you could improve. Another one that I like very much is a great from water, that the waves and the ocean are both one. This is another paradox, that we are individuals and yet we're part of the oneness. There is both individuality and unity here at Earth School. And I like to call Earth School because I really truly believe that all of us here are learning and growing and serving on hopefully higher and higher levels of consciousness. Nobody is on this planet just for the fun of it. I don't think so. There's too much work and too much trouble, and we're all in some kind of a training. I do believe this. So one of my friends thinks it's a school and a hospital. People are here to heal their sick souls as well. I think it's mostly a school, and maybe there are some hospital sections, like for those of us who are in healthcare, we're helping in the hospital section. So talking about the wave and the ocean, now there's a concept that's a paradox, and most of us don't have trouble with that one. It's very obvious there are waves and it's part of the ocean. And as individual units, each of us is an individual human, and this is where we get into trouble. I can see, my gal who's on the camera, Tara, is right here, Pete's up in the control room. We appear to be individual units, and yet I would say, I do believe on a quantum physics level that we're very much connected. There are things happening that we can't perceive with our visual equipment. We can't see the many ways we're connected to the oneness. And what's comforting to me is really believing that even though each of us is individual, we are part of this oneness that we can't comprehend. It's really hard. We can get the wave and the ocean thing, but it's very hard to see us individually here as part of one unit. And yet I do believe that's what's happening. And if I had more time in the technology, I would have imported part of a movie and get the permission to do it. There's some films that demonstrate this very, very well, and perhaps I'll do another show on the conflict of unity and individuality in a film way. But something that I like to think about is when you get up in the morning to go to work and you want to get things done, you have a plan, you have an agenda, your mind is kind of thinking about stuff. Do you think your liver cell in your body is actually conscious of what's going on in your neofrontal cortex up here where you're doing your thinking, right? The liver cell has one job. It's basically just cleansing and flushing, keeping your blood and your body healthy and detoxifying you. Your liver cells, and let's focus on one liver cell. Your liver cell is not actually thinking about catching a train to Boston to go to a lecture, or finishing an article you're writing, or planning a dinner party. No, it's got one function, and it's just collecting debris and flushing. And yet it's part of your body, and it's an essential part of each liver cell in your liver is essential to your well-being. If one liver cell malfunctions and becomes cancerous or troubled, whatever, or you get cirrhosis of the liver and your liver's not functioning very well, you're going to have problems. It'll affect your neofrontal cortex and your planning ability and your higher cognitive functioning. So the liver cell is there, but it's not exactly running the show. That's my point. And that's how I see us in the world. And Dr. Linehan, who did not develop this particular line of thought, but she talks about the oneness in terms of relaxing us to know that we're all connected. And you're not isolated, you're not alone. No matter how fearful you may be, no matter how upset you are, no matter how isolated, maybe somebody just dumped you, or your parents are being obnoxious, or you don't have enough money, whatever's going on, you're never alone. You're never alone. And this is not a theological debate. I'm not doing that here. But psychologically, it's very soothing on the spiritual, to take on the spiritual component to your well-being and think that you're part of this oneness. So the way the liver cell doesn't know what you're doing in the course of a day is the way we individually don't know how this universe is actually running. There are so many things going on here that are absolutely incomprehensible to my pea brain. My pea brain knows, I show up and I go walk in the woods, and then I take care of my animals, and I water some plants, I go to work. I'm at a hospital for a couple of hours dealing with clients perhaps, and then I come here and do a show. Later I'm seeing somebody. It's like I have my agenda, but I am nowhere near working on the tides and gravity and soil sampling, for farmers. No, that's not my job. And yet there is this connectivity which seems to have an intelligence that's running things. So dialectics is being able to be open and embrace the fact that you're not alone. It's a very important paradoxical phenomena that you're an individual and that you're part of the oneness. And if that's all I say today, that's probably enough. Although it's going to take a long, I should probably get on some other things, right? So balancing opposites. Now in relationships, what's very important is when you love someone, how many times do you love someone but also find you hate them? There's another set of paradoxes. When you feel like you love someone but you can't stand them, maybe for 10 minutes or maybe for half a day, it's very possible that you're just done. You hate them for 5 minutes, you hate them for 5 hours, perhaps. So emotions have dialectical components. Great. So we're going to do a little meditation now to help you access that part of you, which in the verbiage of DBT, we call it wise mind. Now, wise mind is the term that Dr. Linehan came up with because she wanted this to be inclusive. She didn't want people who are atheist or agnostic or just annoyed recovering Catholics to not be able to access this material. So she came up with this term, wise mind, which is just something that's kind of neutral, that can be a doorway into a higher level of functioning without becoming any religious entanglement, without entangling with religion. However, if you're watching the show and you already have a spiritual life, you could substitute wise mind for the deity of your choice, whether it's God or Jesus or Buddha or Allah, whatever suits you, because this is the place in your brain that is able to take paradoxes from either side and blend them from your emotion, from annoying emotions to peaceful emotions, bring them together so you can function better. And we're going to do a little meditation now to help you access wise mind, or your Christ consciousness, again, whatever you want to call it. In DBT we call it wise mind, and I'm going to use wise mind in the meditation, again, just to be inclusive. And DBT has no agenda to convert people. It has no agenda. But we do acknowledge, and that's the difference between DBT and dialectical behavior therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy, is that cognitive behavioral therapy is very clinical, but dialectical behavior therapy has a spiritual component. And that's one of the major differences between DBT and CBT, actually, in my humble opinion. Because we have this mindfulness component and the component that encourages people to blend with that oneness in a different kind of way than just being isolated in the universe, like an atomic ping pong ball, like running around, So let's begin. Thank you, Pete, for bringing on the music and the slide for the music preparation. And we're going to enter into a meditation for a couple of minutes. Maybe 5 minutes or so, not long, just to relax a little bit and get a taste. So when I meditate with people, I like them to get into a centering position, which is putting your dominant hand on your heart area and your other hand on the belly button area, and that is respectively your your heart chakra and your solar plexus. And let's just take some deep breaths together, putting your hand on your heart chakra and your solar plexus. Very good. And let's just focus in and get relaxed in our seat. And we're aiming to access wise mind, or whatever you call it in your higher consciousness deity language. And let's breathe in to the count of 4 and breathe out to the count of 8. Breathing into the count of 4 and breathing out to the count of 8. Breathing in excellent health and breathing out disease. Breathing in unconditional love and breathe out fear. Breathe in infinite wisdom and breathe out ignorance. Breathe in harmony and breathe out chaos. Breathe in love and breathe out pain. Breathe in love and breathe out blame. Breathe in love and breathe out shame. Breathe in, I am in wise mind. And exhale, wise mind is in me. Breathe in, I am in wise mind. And exhale, wise mind is in me. And now let's take a little moment to imagine that within you is a spiral staircase, winding down to your very center. Starting at the top, walk very slowly down the staircase, going deeper and deeper within yourself. Notice the sensations. Rest by sitting on a step, or turn on some lights on the way down if you wish. Do not force yourself further than you want to go. Notice the quiet. As you reach the center of yourself, settle your attention there, perhaps in your gut or your abdomen. Breathing in completely, notice and follow the sensations of your breath coming in. Let your attention settle into your center at the bottom of your breath at your solar plexus. Keeping your attention at your center, exhale, breathing normally, maintaining attention. Settle into wise mind. Take a deep breath. Just enjoy the sensation of connecting to your wise mind. Take a deep breath. We're going to come back now, slowly, slowly. Come back to your regular consciousness and open your eyes. So that was an experience of accessing wise mind. And I hope you found a moment of peace and stillness in that exercise. And how you know you're in wise mind is you do feel more peaceful and relaxed. Even if it's a glimpse, even if you have just 10 seconds of peace, but you say, oh, but that your negativity ticker tape is still running. It's going. I gotta make it, shopping lists, things you gotta do. That's okay. The goal of this work is to eventually reach a place where you're like 90% feeling peaceful and useful. And when the negativity ticker tape is running, you just look at it and go, oh yeah, I'll take care of that stuff. That'll work out. And you don't react. You don't have that big reaction. Again, a paradox. How there could be so many unfinished loose ends in your life, a lot of things going on. Perhaps you have illness or some financial catastrophe or your kids in detox, whatever, and still be peaceful. You know, I'm thinking about that great quote, the great poem from the 12-step programs, you know, serenity is not freedom from the storm, but peace, serenity is not freedom from the storm, but peace amid the storm is one version. Another version is, you know, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And I love the idea, and that's also holding a paradox, being able to ask the courage to change while there's catastrophe happening. You know, you want serenity while there's catastrophe. So again, these dialectics can be very difficult in the beginning, but I want to tell you it's given me a lot of peace personally and professionally. Being able to hold opposite situations without having major meltdown or reaction is a wonderful place to be. It helps you be more productive, more relaxed, more flowing in your life. And to that end, I do facilitate a DBT skills group for women on Wednesday nights. Sorry guys, no group for guys right now, but we're doing a women's group on Wednesday nights at 7:15. I'm in Westford, at the Westford Center where I work. And if you want information about that, feel free to give me a jingle or call or email me. And also there's DBT literature that's very helpful too. As I mentioned, that book, the book that I showed earlier is actually a manual that we use. It's an experiential book. But there are other things you'll find on the internet as well that'll help you learn these concepts. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate you tuning in. My name is Lisa Wessan, and I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, Pete and Tara, for helping me out today producing this show. And good health is wealth, and I hope you all go for it. Never settle. Never settle for being depressed and miserable and under-earning and underachieving. It's your birthright to do well and to prosper. You know, so I say don't give up. Never give up. Thank you very much.